What if the goal wasn't to create a masterpiece? It was just to create. So you're in a creative rut? It's okay, you're not alone. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll figure out the root of your art block and how to go about getting out of it from the tips that I'll be sharing with you. First off, identify what is holding you back. Ask yourself, why are you not creating anymore? Now, right now, what is the first thing that came to your mind? If your immediate answer was, I don't know, that is also fine. Don't worry about it, because we'll be going over several roots to the art block problem and tips to overcome each one. Now, is it because every time you draw, you're not satisfied with what you create? Do you feel that there's even no point in trying because whatever you make is going to be awful anyway? And then you see all these people online that just, all these amazing artworks, and you just, it's unfair. It's unfair. Now, let me tell you a story. So one day, Pablo Picasso, who was, Picasso, was at a cafe, and he was doodling on a napkin. An admirer walked over and recognized him and asked if they could purchase the drawing on the napkin. Now, after completing this napkin sketch, Picasso asked this admirer for 1 million francs in exchange for the sketch. The admirer was just so taken aback by this price. It only took a couple minutes to create this sketch for Picasso. Upon telling this to Picasso responded like this: "It took me a lifetime to be able to draw this sketch." Now, after hearing this story, personally, it got me thinking. One of the answers to becoming successful or getting good at anything is time. Time, really. And if you do something long enough for enough time, relatively consistently, then you are bound to eventually get better, because ordinary effort over time yields extraordinary results. Even if you do half as good, even if you do the bare minimum consistently, then you are bound to get better. This consistent progress is bound to add up. No matter how small it is bound to add up, and eventually it will amount to something. It might take you a year to see results. It might take you 2 years. It might take you, longer than that. But art is the journey. It's very easy, of course, to get discouraged. And how do you get motivated throughout this entire time to stay consistent? For me personally, I found it's not fixating as much on the end result, but instead focusing on the process, focusing on enjoying the process, in having it be a win, having your drawing or whatever you're creating be a win, not because you created something good necessarily, but because you just involved yourself in the practice of creating, because you did something, you created something, and that is a win. And how are you going to get good at something if you don't let yourself be bad, if you don't let yourself get past that beginner stage, right? If you give up at the beginner stage, how are you going to move on, right? How do you get good? And I can definitely attest to this, because I'm actually new in drawing too, because I've only been taking art seriously for about a year now. And if you look back on my channel, you start from somewhere. It's been a consistent journey for 1 year, and the change is crazy. And there were days, of course, that you can't draw, and that's okay. You don't have to draw every day. And I feel this a lot also. I've been doing pottery only for 1 year. I have pottery on my channel, and it was very, very difficult to be a beginner, letting yourself fail over and over again, and just accepting that you're going to consistently be failing until one day it just amounts to something. I feel like a big problem is that you're putting pressure on yourself to create a masterpiece every time you sit down. But what if the goal wasn't to create a masterpiece? It was just to create. So just by drawing a smiley face on your paper, you've already achieved something. You've created a smiley face that hasn't been in existence before. So when you start thinking this way, your success and your fulfillment does not rely on the end result. The focus starts to shift towards the process itself of creating. And when you end up creating consistently, because you start to let go of this pressure of creating something phenomenal each time. When you just create, you're bound to eventually make something good. You're bound to get better, because that's just the way your brain works. It improves. Now, sometimes another thing that is holding you back from being creative is just that maybe not necessarily that you feel discouraged or anything, but it's just that you don't have any ideas. You just don't know what to create. And I totally relate sometimes. Something I found that is helpful for me, let's say if you are an artist and you're drawing, if you draw, is to imagerize your feelings. Because I feel like art, for me at least, and it's a lot of emotion, and a way to come up with ideas is ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What am I feeling right now? And see how you can create an image to emphasize, to visualize that feeling. And this drawing that we've been painting throughout this video is an example of this idea. I was feeling very overwhelmed in the moment, and this is how the concept of this painting was born. When you're art blocked, it's a time to reflect and adjust your direction. You end up emerging better than before. It's like a butterfly. Only through struggling to get out of your cocoon will you be able to develop your wings. So that makes art block actually a good thing in disguise. If you have anything to add to what you heard here, share it in the comments and let me know your story. And if you found anything helpful in this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you.